a special thanks to our trainer today, Hamza Arsbi, who is an educational expert based in Amman, Jordan, working with the Mind Lab. Hamza is also currently studying with Columbia University as an Obama Foundation scholar, and we are very honored to have him, a really fantastic expert in design thinking and how we can approach problems creatively as we start thinking about what kind of change we are making and what kind of issues we're wanting to address. So as usual, please chat away if you have questions using the Zoom text, and we'll answer those as we go. Hamza, I know, has quite a lot of interactive little exercises for you all to kind of get your heads around what design thinking is. So with that, I will turn it over to Hamza, and thanks very much.
Thank you. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I'm very happy to be here with you. Just kind of a quick housekeeping point. If you can have a paper in front of you with a pen or something, just something to kind of doodle and write on, because that will be very useful. Okay, so my name is Hamza Arsbi. I'm originally from Jordan. I work in the education sector. I started my own organization called the Mind Lab around 9 years ago. And what we do is we develop kind of programs for children across the country and trying to make it as engaging and accessible as possible. So this kind of really translated into our work with design thinking, because our entire focus was how can we understand the people we're working with and create content that would be easily accessible for them, usable, fun, and really useful. That's, I think, the main point of it. And so this is where we get into design thinking as a concept. One of the reasons we adopted design thinking was because of its simplicity. For those of you who are not too familiar with the methodology, design thinking started out as a popular idea in Stanford University. As a concept, it has been there for ages, but what they did there at the design school was try to popularize it by making it simpler and more accessible for everyone. They turned the creative thinking process into specific steps where anyone can feel like they can participate and not be too daunted or too scared when you kind of mention creativity, innovation, these kind of big words. And why I really love it is that it starts with empathy. And in a world where a lot of people are really focused on kind of problem solving, trying to find the next big thing, and really pushing the envelope on a lot of the areas in life that need kind of improvement, empathy is lost sometimes, and we get so stuck in our heads being designers, problem solvers, that we forget to connect with the people we're working with and trying to reach them. And this is where I find design thinking really valuable, because it tells you to stop for a second and really look around. Ask yourself, am I solving for the people that I'm working with, for the community, or am I just solving based on what I think is the best way forward, or based on my own personal experience? And this is the biggest part of design thinking that really makes it appealing for me personally. After that, we move to, of course, the steps like defining the problem, and then ideation. And again, I really like how design thinking moves to defining the problem and does not talk about ideation until the third stage. This is really vital because, again, as human beings who want to solve problems, we focus a lot on the kind of like how am I going to solve this? If I'm telling you a problem that I have, even before I finish talking, you would have like 5 solutions in your head. If I was in your place, I would do this, this, and that. Um, Design thinking tells you to kind of just slow down, uh, you know, uh, think about the problem, really empathize with the people that you're working with, and try and kind of, reach them and get to a solution that works for everyone. And finally, prototyping and testing, those are also really important in terms of the kind of uh, the methodology, which it kind of makes sense because this methodology comes out of Stanford, close to the Silicon Valley, and there is the whole philosophy of fail fast. So the idea is, before you spend too much time, too much energy, and resources, prototype, create a simple, test, and figure out if your idea is viable before you spend too much time on it. Okay. I will definitely be discussing a lot of the. I think Becca said we will be taking some questions on the go. Uh, so Becca, do feel free to kind of step in at any time. But I will leave around 15 minutes at the end to kind of go over the questions. So if some things can be left until then, I'll leave it to your judgment, Becca. Okay. So I want to kind of reiterate the idea of design thinking and how can it be used in the real world through some examples. The first example is, Doug here is the creator of this machine. I think many of you could recognize it. This scanner is available in many hospitals. It saves a lot of lives. And he was one of the teams that at IBM who designed the first kind of iteration of this. But Doug was not somebody who's really, just happy about creating a functional machine. He wanted to create something that's also very useful to people. So he started to go to the hospitals and observe patients, how they work with the machine, how they're dealing with it, and their experiences. One thing that he noticed was that children are really resistant to going into the machine. I think if anybody has ever tried this, you can, it's a claustrophobic, loud, really, uncomfortable experience to go into this machine. And, for children, it's a nightmare. When he kind of did a survey, he discovered that around 80% of kids who need to be put through this machine eventually need to be sedated so they can go through it. And he wanted to solve that. So he started applying design thinking, and this is why his story is a big design thinking success story that's always kind of given kind of as a poster child of this methodology. He started talking to the parents. He started talking to the children themselves. He started thinking about the machine with the staff, and we eventually start thinking about solutions that are big solutions. What can we remove? How can we change this machine? Maybe we should create something new completely. But for him, he identified that the main issue was in the experience, not in the machine. The machine was doing what it's supposed to do, but it was just a scary experience. And so he tested around and he thought about it. And he thought, why don't we just change the experience? And this is what he did. Using very affordable, very simple kind of changes to the machine, he turned it into an adventure, an experience, something that the child is actually excited to kind of participate in. Of course, not everything that he changed you can see here. Some other things that he did was the child, before they would go into the machine, they would give him like a storybook, that would tell them about the like the adventure ahead. The nurses would be dressed in a specific costume, and there would be like different kinds of music. So they changed the whole idea of how the child sees this machine. And in 1 year, after they redid the survey, they discovered that the number of children that need to be sedated went down to 0.1%. And, and so you reduced it from 80% to 0.1%, but using only, stickers and sounds. And I think this is the core of empathy and really understanding the needs of the people you're working with, rather than just trying to think of the big solution that will change the how things work and the paradigm. Another example, naturally has something to do with the U.S. Army. The U.S. Army wanted to work with females in Afghanistan, and so they created a female engagement team, and that went as well as you would expect. The team was supposed to basically engage with the community and try and provide a safe and accessible space for females. But they did a lot of mistakes, and some of them were, cost lives at the end of the day. One of the biggest examples of bad design that they went through was when they visited some of the villages. The ladies there, they observed the ladies, and what they saw was for them to wash the clothes, to get water, women had to walk from the village an hour to the river, and another hour back. And the female engagement team wanted to help. So the idea they came up with was build a well in the middle of the town. This way, women have easier access to water. Simple enough. I think, ask anyone, that would be one of the ideas that comes off the top of your head. Within 1 year of building the well, the number of suicides amongst women rose, and women themselves asked that the well be torn down. Does anyone have any idea why? Okay.
I mean, I can jump in here from one of my.
Okay. I think that they start feeling bored because they have that hour to go to the water and go back. It's their time where they chat and when they are sharing there. But after building this well, they are started to be bored, I guess.
Amazing. Yes. Thank you, Didi. That's actually just exactly right. For the women, those 2 hours were their time off together. That was their girl time, basically. They had a social network. They had time with their friends, and that was their daily activity. When you built a well in the middle of the town in a conservative community that didn't really give space for females to interact with one another, you killed off their only social kind of escape. And that's the thing, when we only observe, when we try to solve problems from kind of our own perspective without really trying to empathize and understand the community, these are the kinds of unexpected consequences that could happen. I love to give this example because it's such a telling example. It's funny to kind of say, oh, it's the US military, of course they're going to be like that. But at the end of the day, I think anyone would have probably, like our first instinct would usually be to solve a problem the same way they did. And so I think, this is where the idea of design thinking becomes really important, is when we start thinking about it in terms of design thinking is not this crazy idea that will come and change your life, but it's a methodology that will help you kind of take pause, basically. Just stop along the way and observe where you are, what are you doing, how did you get here. These are the things that design thinking would help you with. Okay. So now I want us to kind of, do a small little exercise. This is a fun one about, creative expression. I want everyone to, quickly on a piece of paper, draw a house, a phone, and a gift. I will give you 15 seconds. Just, doodle a house, a phone, and a gift.
That is too much in 5 seconds.
Well, I mean, that's the point. So do try. Okay. So you should be finishing. Yes. So basically, now that we supposedly drew a house, a phone, and a gift, I would venture to guess that most people would have probably drawn something like the one Becca just showed me to the screen. Of course. Okay, nice. So I can see Herman. Interesting. Okay, interesting. So usually, when we try to draw something like this in 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and what we come up with is the basic concept of what a house, what a phone, and what a gift is. So I would say, draw a house, and people would draw a box with a triangle on top. Now, do we live in such a house? Not necessarily, but still we go for that kind of shape. The same with the phone. A lot of people actually even still draw the kind of like a square with like the antenna, the phone's antenna out of it, because like it's more revealing. Only recently did I start seeing like the smartphone come up on the in the drawings. And then for the gift, a lot of people go for the box with the ribbon, and I think that's that's not a wrong kind of way to do it. This brings me to our first rule about kind of creative expression. And this is something that I always advocate for. Art is a universal language. The reason we go for these kind of very simple shapes is because they help us to communicate with each other specific ideas, regardless of where you are in the world. If you show me a box with a ribbon on it, I'll know that it's a gift. If I'm in Jordan, if I'm in the US, if I'm in Japan, I will still kind of like get what you're trying to tell me. And this is why I want to kind of reaffirm the importance of drawing and art as a way of universal communication. When you're trying to think about solutions, I also recommend that you sketch. You don't write with words. One of the reasons is that language is restrictive in its kind of parameters. When you're trying to imagine things that don't exist, usually it's way more useful to kind of try and draw them. it frees your mind more. It makes it more flexible. It's more universal, you know. When we try to kind of start, if I'm thinking of something and a lot of ideas are coming up, and I try to put it into words, you can start noticing your mind narrowing down because it's trying to focus. And that's not what we want. We want, especially when we're brainstorming, we want to try and kind of liberate the mind as much as possible. And so this is why I do recommend you sketch as much as possible. And you know, from what Becca showed us, you don't need to be an artist to get your point across. It can be the worst drawing ever, but as long as it gets the idea, it's done its duty. That's what we're talking about. Okay. My second point is creativity is a process, and it's not limited by, you know, artistic abilities. What design thinking tells us is that creativity, sure, you do need, there are specific people with a lot of, you know, artistic talent who can express themselves in a very, you know, a big way. But creative problem solving is a very simple process that we do every day. We just need help kind of to, you know, to focus. That's the only kind of contribution that design thinking provides us. It's not about you being an artist. Solving a problem creatively and innovatively is something that anybody can do. It's something that you can turn into a process, and there are steps to it. Of course, you're always more creative in a group because you have more knowledge, more ideas bouncing around, but it's also accessible. It's not something for the few, it's for the many. Okay, so now I'm going to give you the same amount of time, let's say 15 seconds. So we're not on, but like, I want you to draw your perfect gift. What's something that you would like to receive? You know, if some people might even like the idea of a gift, like the box with the ribbon as their perfect gift, but still, you know, be as creative as you would like. I like that some people are trying. Ooh, and there's a baby. Nice. Okay, so now thinking about the perfect gift, I do kind of want you to, since we pictured it, we drew it, you will notice that the perfect gift is not the same. You know, you didn't approach it the same way that you did with when I told you to kind of just draw an abstract. When I said draw a gift, you could have easily produced the box with the ribbon. But when I said draw your perfect gift, it's no longer an abstract idea. It becomes something that's specific to you. And this is where we kind of, you know, talk about the importance of empathy. If we draw something for ourselves, it becomes more personal. It becomes more specific. It has a nature to it that's very unique. And you know, our perfect gift is not necessarily somebody else's as well. You might find similarities, but at the end of the day, each person's perfect gift is their own. And this is where we want to kind of go back to the idea of empathy. When I want to solve a problem, I need to solve it for the person who's facing the problem, not for myself, because it's the same concept as a gift. You can't expect your perfect gift to be somebody else's perfect gift. Okay. And this is my final kind of point on the rules of creativity. The final rule is a designer does not design objects, but experiences. And the ketchup bottle is one of my favorite examples of this. So when we started with the glass ketchup bottle, and that was the original design, the idea behind it was, I want to solve a problem, which is I want to move this substance, the ketchup, from point A to point B and get it to the consumer. That's it. But I think anybody who has dealt with a ketchup bottle knows the struggles of dealing with that kind of apparatus. It's yes, and so it is it does solve the initial problem that it was designed to do. So it's successful by that measure, but then does it provide the real experience? That kind of solves the bigger problem for the person. Am I easily able to use this? Is it fully kind of answering the need that I have? And this is where the second ketchup bottle comes in, which is the plastic one, the squeeze bottle. When you start looking at the journey of something and the experience, what people are experiencing as they receive your solution, this is when you get to solution number 2, because you start noticing, you see that, okay, yes, I did get them the ketchup, but they really can't get it out of the bottle. I need to help them get to that point as well. And so when we're designing, always think about the experience. How is somebody going to interact with your solution, not what the solution itself is? And this is extremely important, because this is where we get to the prototyping and testing phase. And understanding how people really kind of will perceive, understand, use, and experience our solution really is the bedrock of its success. If we fail with the experience, people will not use it again. You can have amazing experiences, amazing solutions, but they will not have, they will not, be used ever again. And I think, we can think of a lot of products across history that were really amazing, problem-solving products, but because of the bad execution, they did not catch on and eventually failed. Okay. And those are the 4 rules. I think Becca will be sharing the slides with everyone. So, yes, you will have this with you. Okay. So now we are done with the rules of innovative design. I will start going into the design thinking experience itself, and do kind of follow along in terms of the steps, sketch and write down your own ideas, and kind of let's try and go through this journey together. Because I want to save on time for the Q&A, basically, I will kind of go through it briskly, so let's say. Okay. So I usually start any design experience with a bit of introspection. And, introspection for me means looking on the inside and really understanding yourself first. Would anyone be interested to kind of share why that could be an important first step before we begin empathizing and solving problems. Why is it important to kind of take a minute to look introspectively into ourselves, to understand ourselves first? Feel free to unmute and share your ideas.
That's a big question, I would say. But
Yeah.
mainly in order to help design an object or an experience or a product on whatever that you're trying to design, it's really important to have your own definition of it and your own understanding, and then maybe you can reflect on what others see it as an experience, as you mentioned, through the two examples you gave us, and through that maybe you can build a holistic approach of it, in a way that it includes the way you define it and how others also define, um, if it was a ketchup bottle, or if it was bringing some water to your home.
Nice.
We also have Noha in the chat. Thank you, saying if you understand yourself first, then you can understand the world a lot better and how you'll interact with them.
That's a deep answer.
Yes, it's
yeah, I want also to add that if you really know why you want to do something, then you will have good reasons that will motivate you to start and to go further.
Great. Well, thank you all for kind of sharing your ideas. I think everybody touched on the right answer in terms of introspection is very important for you to understand your own interests, your own passions, your own focus areas, and then also understand how you're dealing with the rest of the world. So it also kind of tells you where might you have some biases, where might you kind of be influenced by what you see, and how you can impact it yourself. So introspection is very important for us to understand our own priorities in life. And here I will give you a couple of quick tools that I use with people, especially who are starting their kind of problem-solving journeys from scratch, especially. It's helpful for people starting their own project to kind of understand what are their own areas of interest before they solve a problem. Are they passionate enough to kind of carry on with that problem-solving aspect? And so we begin first with the circles of identity. I don't know if you've seen this before. This is a very simple tool where you draw, these circles. In the middle of this shape, you write your name. So I can write right in the middle, Hamza, and then around it, I want to just basically brainstorm all the values, ideas, background, anything that shapes my identity. So and it doesn't need to be, so when you look at these words around you, these are here to help you with this. Excuse me one second. Sorry. So basically, when you look at this circle here, you will see a lot of words around, but they're not there for you to use all of them. This is to help you brainstorm what parts of your identity influence you the most. So if I say, I'm Hamza, my name is in the middle, and then around it, I can say, well, I'm male, I was born in Jordan. My family's religion is Muslim. all of these things are things that shaped who I am today and influence what I think about the world. And so as you kind of consider your own self, you should kind of customize it to your own identity. This will give you a general view of what influences you, and try and dig deep. Some people will be highly influenced by specific values. Uh, some other people might be, really passionate about their community. They consider it as a big part of their personal identity, while other people might, not see it that way. And so this is a very customizable tool for you to kind of reflect on what makes you, basically.
I also think this is something that's really useful to do multiple times in different spaces, because which parts of our identity are impacting us and kind of most at the surface, right, are going to change, whether we're at school or at work, in our families, with our leadership initiatives, right? So always kind of checking which parts of you are most leading your goals and kind of why you're in the space is always good to kind of do a check.
Yes, thank you for this note, Becca. It does it makes sense, especially as you also kind of tackle different problems and challenges. So for you, one challenge, something that is as sensitive as race issues and racism, for example, might trigger parts of your identity more in a specific direction than something else like education. So based on the challenge you're trying to tackle, that could define which circles of identity are really coming forward for you dealing with that challenge. So you can definitely, as you go through different challenges, redo this and see what comes up. It helps you kind of to review where you are in kind of in terms of the challenge or the situation you're in. The second tool that I would like to kind of present you with is the priority wheel. And this is a very simple tool as well for you to kind of think about your personal priorities. And there are no right or wrong answers here again, because eventually this is your personal identity. This is what makes you, you. And as you start to think about your priorities, this will help you identify which areas you want to focus on. So for example, I want to do, I'm really passionate about education. This is something that I've been working on for a big part of my life. I really like personal growth. So this is something that I work on a lot. And this is why I always, sign up for new programs, new courses. I keep myself updated. But at the same time, I'm very, overachieving. I like that kind of, career-wise, kind of to build that aspect of my life. And so I'm very mindful of how much I push for my career, while also being, family oriented. So understanding all these layers within my personality helped me to kind of try and balance them out, to see where am I focusing, and where I can work more on myself. As I'm solving a new problem, how can I integrate these things together? So if I'm creating a new solution for an educational program, I will keep in mind, how does that help me build my own career? I will keep in mind, how does that, help me, keep up space for family, keep up a space for my personal relationships. So you start to integrate it into your solution as well, because you're mindful of what you care about and the things that you need to stay happy. And so this is very important also as you move forward, because again, introspection is all about understanding yourself so you can reflect that to the world. Okay. And the final tool for introspection that is always interesting to kind of go through is the why statement. The why statement is a very simple, straightforward tool. So you write basically in two sections. The first section is I want to, and you write what you want to contribute or what you want to get to, so that, and the second section is what's the impact? Why do you want to do the thing you want to do? And that's it. That's the whole why statement. It's very simple and straightforward. So, I want to create new education programs so that every child has access to opportunities and can reach their full potential. So again, it is two sections. You start with what do you want to do? So I want to do this. And why do you want to do it? What's the impact you want to see? Of course, this is not just for big ideas and big problems and big needs. This could be also personal stuff, I want to get a better job so I can, pay for my family's, health or something, so it doesn't need to be always, this kind of like altruistic outward kind of activity. It can also be a why statement that's personal and just for you. And of course, it can be a combination of both. And this is it. This is introspection. This is how, in a simple way, we keep up with who we are, how are we kind of viewing the world, and what do we want to do exactly. Using these tools will help you kind of keep fresh on these ideas, and will keep you more aware of, why are you doing the things you do? What kind of, how are you reflecting on the problems that you're trying to face? I want to ask here if anybody has any questions so far. Becca, did you get anything that's...
No, we're doing great. We're exchanging ideas in the chat, but everybody seems with you, and
nice.
We're ready. We have introspected. We're ready to do the next thing.
Yes, I see I want to be rich to change the world to my vision. Nice. Okay.
We're about to cook mansaf, actually.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's something. My wife's statement should probably be to find where you are and visit. So that's okay. Now we're going to get into empathy. So I don't think I need to really go into why empathy, because we've already kind of explored it a lot in the intro. Empathy is a very important and vital tool that you need to keep coming back to. It's not one stage. We don't do empathy at the beginning and then forget about it. It's something that we need to keep coming back to every step of the way, because it's our way of understanding, are we giving people a gift for them, or are we giving them a gift, our gift, basically, our perfect gift? That's the whole concept. It's really understanding the community, the people we're working with, and giving them the solution that they need, not the one that we think they need. We usually start empathy with a simple kind of stakeholder analysis. And this is basically, a small exercise. We think about what's the challenge or the area that we want to focus on in our work, and then we map out everybody who's part of the system. Who are the stakeholders? Who are the people we're working with? It can be, people who are the users, who will benefit from our solution, but then also it needs to be people who are supporting this, people who might be in positions of power, and people who might resist even. And can anybody kind of share, why do you think we need to also map out the people who could be resistant to our solution, not just the people who are benefiting? Wala?
Because as they are part of the community in any way, and we also need to have empathy with them as well, because they might be the one who really needs support more, and also to decrease the risks, because those who are resistors might create some problems in your way. So you have to engage them as well and to know how to deal with.
That's exactly correct. The idea of understanding everybody who's part of the system helps us kind of be aware as we create our solution to include everyone. So by understanding who might be resistant, you reduce the resistance at the same time, and that's the important part. One example in Jordan, where this did not happen, for example, there was a nonprofit organization that wanted to introduce people to new kinds of art, do art exchange, that kind of thing. And what they did was they went to one of the most conservative, most previously uncontacted community in terms of the arts in Jordan, and they immediately, without talking to anyone in the community, said, we want to do a free opera concert for everyone. And people were interested because it's something new. But then you had people who are in positions of power, especially religious authorities, who came and started saying, "Oh, you want both males and females to mix at this opera event. You want to bring Western music to our area. All of that kind of thing." And eventually, it turned into an uproar that canceled the whole event. Now, who's wrong here? I think this is the core question. If we had from the beginning understood that there will be this kind of resistance, if we had brought these religious figures on board and talked to them, figured out how can we design an event that is compatible, that they could support, you could have delivered your message and created the event without having to go through all this trouble. And this happens time after time. It's by not reaching people who could resist our programs, who might stand in the way of the solution, understanding why they're objecting, and then working with them, you increase the possibility of failure. So this is very important. Okay, can anybody kind of share with me your ideas on how do we empathize with people?
Yeah, so I really want to share this. So sometimes when you want to make change, the people who you want to change are the obstacles, are the people who resist your change. For example, the people you talked about, they refuse opening up to the world. They refuse progress. Like they are the resistance themselves. Like your whole point should be on them, not on people who already agree with you. Like, what's the use if you gather people who already agree with you? Like, you have not accomplished anything. So I think the main point of programs, the main point of stakeholders, like the whole aim is to make change, right?
Yeah.
So the change has to be resisted. Like, you have to identify it, then persuade them. So yeah, I think resistance is like, if the problem was two pieces, resistance is half of it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
Thank you. That's amazing. It's definitely, it goes back to the point of, if you want actual change and actual adoption, then yes, of your solution, you can't rely only on people who agree with you. You need to also find people who might disagree and work with them on figuring out a solution that works for everyone. And that's the kind of the core of empathy, is stepping outside of yourself to kind of understand the others who are also affected by the challenge you're working on. So when we're talking about empathy, I would kind of highlight two core tools that people usually go to when they're trying to collect this kind of information. You have kind of direct interactive tools, and you also have the kind of indirect methods that you could use. In terms of direct interaction, you can do interviews, you can do surveys, you can do focus groups, but usually what we recommend is a mix of all of them. Because interviews are very important. They're slower, they're harder to do, but at the end of the day, when you sit and listen to somebody talk about their challenges, it's much more informative on an empathy level than a survey. Because a survey, they will tell you what you want to hear, or the answers will be too direct, and you will not have the layers that you will have through interviews. This is why I always recommend, even if you do surveys, assign a couple of interviews as well, so you can do follow-up, really dig deeper, ask follow-up questions, really understand the situation. The indirect tools are also very useful, and the main one is observation. In this is very useful, especially for us when we're working with kids, because children, if you interview them, they will tell you some things, but like not everything's going to be accurate. Through observation, you can actually track the children, view them in their kind of natural environment, and see how they behave naturally. So you can collect more pure data. This is done usually with, for example, teachers and principals who observe the children in class, in the playground, sometimes even on their journey home. They might follow them and kind of observe any bullying behavior, any kind of detours the children might take, that kind of thing, to kind of collect the data you need. This can be done also in any environment that you can think of. It's a very useful tool to collect more what you would call candid information, something that people kind of naturally behave in their own environment.
Can I share something?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Oh, thank you. So from my experience, my field of kind of expertise is de-radicalization. So to gather data, we did two things, of course. We did statistics, we also did interviews, and the data from the interviews were very, very different. Like, they had context, they had the stories, the emotions. You could empathize with the stories they told you. But with the statistics, it was very limited. It's just hardcore data. Like if you don't know what you are doing, then the hardcore data won't help you that much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think for me, I really appreciate data. I like to see like the hardcore data is also a big element of kind of decision making, really understanding things. But without the empathy, without the human element, it's hard to kind of rely on its own. Because like you said, I can go and collect data and get 70% of people don't like vanilla chocolate, something like that. But unless I go and do interviews, unless I connect on a human level, I will not understand why don't they like vanilla. So the numbers can tell you things, but not everything. So yes, thank you for that. That's a good contribution. Okay, so going right through, we move to identification. And here again, we're still talking about problem identification or need identification. And this is why I really like design thinking when it kind of keeps you in the kind of need problem assessment sphere for the first two steps. It tells you, like, hold on, okay, you listened to the people, you empathized, but still don't think about solutions yet. Let's take another second and think about what the problem is. And a couple of quick tools for this is the first one is the problem tree. I think anybody who's usually in project design, goes through the problem tree a lot. It's a very simple kind of concept where the middle of the tree is your core problem, and then you kind of look into the root causes and write those below it as the roots. And anything that goes above the core problem is what your the effects, the fruits of the tree. And so the idea behind this tool is, okay, you thought about a core problem, you listened to people and they told you their problems. This tool will help you think, are those the real problems, or are they are there roots? Is there something else I can work on that could solve more than one thing at the same time? Is this the core, or is there something else I can focus on as well? So for example, I can say, littering and garbage in the street is a problem. But is it the root problem? Or is it just an effect? Is it something that we need to dig deeper to find something else that if we change it, we solve the littering issue? So yeah, very straightforward, very simple tool. I always recommend to kind of go through it multiple times to keep thinking about, is there a root? Is there something deeper? Should I dig deeper? Well, what's causing these problems that I'm trying to solve? And then kind of verbalizing your problem statement. So here, quick disclaimer. It says problem statement, but it can also be needs statement. So we talk about things as problems, but sometimes it's just a need, like I always, had no issue getting into taxis, but now with the apps, it's much easier. So there was obviously a need to kind of make things easier and shorter and, all of that, but it wasn't a problem. So it could be a needs or a problem statement based on what you're working on. And the importance of this tool is that you take everything you've heard, the the empathy sessions, the interviews, the data, and you try to put it together into a clear and concise sentence. When you can do that, that means you understand the problem. And this is how you do it. We begin with this very simple template. Of course, you can write it in whichever way you like, but this is my suggested template to make it easier. You start with the person's name. Of course, the person's name is the person who's facing the problem that you're trying to solve to help. So we can say something like teachers. Teachers might need a way to, and here we write the challenge or the need. So teachers might need a way to reduce exam correction time, for example. And then we say because, and this is where we write the insight. Why is that a problem for them? Why are we trying to solve this? What's the impact that on these people that we're trying to kind of make? So teachers might need a way to reduce examination kind of grading time, because it's time consuming and takes away from their leisure time, for example. So we went into like, what's the impact of the problem? And the last part, which is but and, here we can write any insight that we have into the existing system. So we can say, but principals are not being cooperative in reducing examination grading time, or they're not being cooperative in introducing new technology. Alternatively, you can put insight as if it's an opportunity. So you can say, instead of but, you say the and. You say, and the local school system is introducing a new grading technology that we can use. So I hope that makes sense. The idea is we define who the person or the group we're trying to help is. What are they facing? What's their problem? Why is it a problem? And then what are the elements that are standing in front of solving the problem, or the elements that are available to help us to solve the problem? And with this very simple, kind of 4 components, you can collect all of the information you've had through the empathy sessions and turn it into a very simple sentence that you can share with anyone, and shows your understanding of the challenge you're trying to solve. Does that make sense? Are there any questions? Becca, do you have anything on? Awesome. Okay. And then, now that we've identified the challenge or the need, we move to ideation. This is where the fun parts come in. Ideation is where you kind of start getting out your creativity and really, pushing the envelope. When you're brainstorming ideas and solutions for the problem, you put the sentence in front of you that you just wrote, and then you start brainstorming ideas. I usually tell people, try and come up with 60 ideas. Can anyone tell me why I'm saying, I'm advising that? Why 60? Why not 10 or 5?
Well, because if you brainstorm, like, the flow of your brain will be more imaginative than your rigid brain.
Yeah, great. Because if I tell you, come up with 5 ideas, you'll start, thinking about something you read, something you saw, something you already tried, and you'll be finished. But, when you push for 60, even if you don't get to 60, you're pushing your brain to think outside the box, to kind of challenge itself with new ideas, with something that they're uncomfortable with. And the ideas usually, get segmented into 3 main, sections. you can come up with a new solution, something absolutely new, like, you know, the internet or something like that. You can come up with something where you're deconstructing or eliminating something that's already in the system. So you say, you know, why is this, like, if we remove this law or change this thing in the system, things will improve. You know, this could be something like when we're talking about the well. When you see that depression rates are rising, suicide rates are rising, you understand the system and you say, oh, if I remove this well from this area and I put it somewhere a bit further, I can, you know, improve the lives of these women. Or, you know, or alternatively, transform something that exists. And this is where we talk about things like Uber or Airbnb, that kind of thing. We already had taxis, but, you know, they came in and provided something that improved the system. They didn't completely overhaul something. They didn't come up with the internet, but they added a small kind of contribution that improved the system. This goes back also to our example with Doug and the MRI machine, where, you know, with just simple stickers and music, you changed something that without really, you know, recreating the wheel, basically. Okay. Then once you have all these ideas, you know, in front of you, the way you choose them is, you know, one of the simplest and straight to the point ways is the SMART system. So you try and find which of these ideas is specific enough, measurable, and, you know, attainable in terms of the environment you're trying to solve in. Do the people I'm trying to help have internet? Do they have fast enough internet for me to create a website for them? Or should it be something more, you know, on a regular kind of SMS system? Should I, you know, do it paper-based or not? So it needs to be attainable to the community that you're trying to reach as well. This is as simple as solving a problem for somebody in their day-to-day life. You can tell someone, oh, get on a diet and eat this and this every day, but they might not have the budget for it. They might not have the time for it. And they might even have health issues, personal health issues, that prevent them from, you know, kind of following the instructions. So attainability is very, you know, specific to each of challenges you're working on. Relevant, of course, you know, so it needs to really answer the need. So you go back to the question, the problem statement, and you look at it and you're like, is this solution actually solving this problem, or is it just an idea I got excited about and I'm, you know, I'm trying to push? And time-based. So it needs to be connected to milestones, something you can measure. So because we go back to testing and prototyping, we need to figure out if our idea is successful without kind of stretching it out over a really long time. It can be, if it's something that's big, it can be segmented as well. So that makes it easier at the end of the day. Okay, so let's say we selected our, you know, the solution we want to go with. It's something that we're interested in. It's something that we talk to the community and they're interested in. It's a smart solution. It works well, and we want to move forward with it. We take this idea and we begin with the prototyping and testing. So when we're talking about, you know, testing an idea, we need to build a prototype for it. And prototypes have very, a number of kind of shapes and forms to them. Does anybody here know, examples of prototypes, like what they would be?
So maybe we can start with simple sketch and then move forward with different.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you. So basically, prototyping can be as simple as a sketch. Even if you're doing a website, you can do, on a piece of paper, I can draw a home page of how I imagine my solution. I can show you and then draw the other pages and then show someone. If you get this page, where would you click? And you would see where will they get lost? Do they need more information? You'll get to test your idea really cheaply. And then they could say, well, I'll click here. And you take the next piece of paper and you show it to them. And you're like, okay, so you get this page. What do you think of this? And without spending any time or money, you can test your idea and figure out if it's viable before investing so much. Prototypes can be, digital, so you can do things like simple wireframes and mock-ups for websites, but they can also be physical. So if I'm kind of trying to sell something, if I'm creating a physical product or anything like that, I can actually build it. So people can tell me, oh, it feels uncomfortable to kind of hold, or it's too big to fit in the space that it's supposed to be in. That kind of information is vital for you when you're doing testing. Of course, there's also experience prototyping. So if I'm doing a service or something like, for example, a psychological support unit for people, we can prototype that. We can create a simple room, have somebody with specific questions and, what kind of service would I provide, the answers to every customer question. And then you would send a customer in and test it with them, see how will they interact with this customer service agent or this psychologist, or how would they interact with the answers that they're being given. And this way you can test your concept simply and cheaply. And here we come to kind of, the rules of testing. When we're trying to test, we should test with everyone, try and reach everybody. All your stakeholders are vital and important. And it's good to see it from different perspectives. And the less information you give someone before they go into the testing phase, the better. So you can see very natural interaction. So don't give them any information that you will not be giving the real users later on. So don't over explain your prototype. You want to see people how they understand it, how they interact with it. And this is where we say, listen, don't defend your prototype. Usually when we come up with ideas, we fall in love with them. So we start defending them. We start to try to explain, to show them like, oh, look at it this way, look at it this way, to make sure they give us the response we want to hear. But in reality, what you want is honest feedback. So listen to them, observe, see what they're asking, and come up with, the data and the information and the feedback you want through that. Always follow up with follow-up questions. So if they say something, they make a comment, you always, kind of follow up, see what they're, why did they say what they said? If they have suggestions, that's always useful. And, again, don't fall in love with your idea. The idea is being tested for a reason. We don't want to start I think by the time you get here, it's already hard. You've already, you know, empathized, you've already identified, you've already, you know, brainstormed and chosen this idea and then built a prototype and all of it. It's hard to not fall in love with your idea, but it's necessary. If you actually want to solve the challenge, you need to be able to let go. Okay. Finally, you know, actualize. Actualize is a more of a kind of the laid back phase, because you're finished. You've done your testing. It's a successful idea. You're now you want to kind of take it to reality, to make it something that's tangible. One of the simplest ways to kind of do this is the resource map. It's very similar to the stakeholder mapping. You need to think about what kind of resources are available for your idea. So you write your successful idea that passed the testing in the middle, and then around it you start writing, you know, who are the investors, who might fund it, are there any grants around, then, you know, what support systems are there mentorship programs, are there you know, networks I can join that can help me, physical resources, are there like incubators that can give me free office space, are there you know, cultural centers I can use, that kind of thing. Intellectual resources, do we have, you know, software? Sometimes, you know, we can get free software. What kind of software do we need? All of it is relevant specifically to your idea and will help you, you know, take really tangible steps to making it a reality. And of course, you know, human resources, that's the most important one. Without a team and good mentors, experts, people who support you, you know, success is not as assured. So I always recommend, you know, everything else will come in later. It's people, the who you know and the networks that support you. This is the most important part. And that's it. I wish you luck. I hope you know, you can actually achieve what you look forward to, and hopefully you made use out of these you know, an hour and a half. So thank you.
Shukran Bezef. Thank you, Hamza. That was great. I'm really excited for us to kind of have design thinking and this framework as our base, as in the next sessions we start to dive more into the specifics of evidence and how to use that to inform our change making, right? And always making sure like what the problem, goal, values are, right, for why we're doing this change making is so important, right? The data is only useful, right, if we're interpreting it towards those goals and then the kind of heart of what we're doing. Are there questions for Hamza or ideas that and experiences with this kind of thing that people want to share?
I
Hello.
want to ask a question.
Okay, go forward.
Okay, thank you. So actually, having innovative ideas, maybe it was one of our challenge during our work last and even for now. We are a local NGO and we are working to create projects. So now you said try to have 60 ideas. So my question is that how many people we need in a group that they can be able to have 60 ideas, and how they can be really creative, that they think out of box, to not repeat some ideas of project, but to have more innovative ideas. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so basically, you know, I always recommend a group of 5 people. That's more than 5 people, you'll start losing the track. If it's more than 5, usually it's better to kind of split them into groups. And then when we're saying 60 should be the challenge, you know? You can go above it, you can go below it, it doesn't matter, but the idea is the mental state you're in. You go into it with that challenge in mind, you know, like I want to get to 60. The way you do it is you don't think about it. No, you don't discuss it as a group when you're doing the brainstorming. So we say we want to solve this problem, and we start brainstorming. Everybody comes up with an idea and just kind of sticks that idea. You don't talk about it. You don't say, oh, wait, stop. This is not, you know, because the minute you say stop, or you say, but this, everything stops. Everybody just will not be creative. So you come in as a group, you do a bit of, you know, ice breaking. You might do kind of like a bit of creative exercises, like, oh, think of 10 types of ice cream that you like, or something like that, you know, just kind of things to get you warmed up, and then start brainstorming and try and reach 60 before discussing any of the ideas. So eventually you might come up and be like, oh, but this is the same as this one. That's fine. We stick them together, you know? We can say, oh, this doesn't make any sense, but if I add it to this one, it will make sense, you know? So you're not really thinking about it in terms of, oh, I need to create 60 unique ideas and we need to sit as a group and like discuss each one and then put it up. No, we want to kind of get everything out, and then we start applying logic and technicalities and all of it to it. I hope that makes sense.
Great, thanks. Noha, you want to jump in here?
Yeah. So when the circle of the priorities of the problems that we will take, so is there a specific order for the problems? I mean, from the center of the circuit to the out, or vice versa, or we should do whatever we want to do?
Yeah. So I think, you know, when you're thinking about your own priorities, this is a completely, you know, personal kind of exercise. It doesn't, you can do it as you see fit. I don't think there is a specific way. This is just a tool for you to help you out, to help you get on that right path. But at the end of the day, you do as you see fit.
Can I share something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, so regarding the 60 ideas, so there is this TV show called Nathan For You. He's a Canadian guy. So he literally just comes up with the craziest ideas. And the weird thing is they always work. Like this time, he made he literally wrote fake Starbucks. And it made several chains of cafes in America. It was real. It even came to the news. Like, he's crazy. And yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm supporting your idea about brainstorming. Like, yeah, it really works.
Nice.
All right. Well, with that, again, thank you so much to Hamza for your time and expertise. We really appreciate this, and this is really, really helpful. As usual, we will email out the slides and a recording of this. And if people have questions as we go, Hamza is one of our Amman's Global Fellows, so he's kind of just a quick text away anytime, and we're able to grab him. So thank you so much, Hamza, and everyone have a wonderful night. We will see you next month for some sessions on professional development and the start of our dive into the data side of things. Looking forward.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.